the best part of Tom Brady broadcasts aren't when he actually tries to make a point. It's when he goes, no, or he'll see a play develop and he'll just go, he's got him. And the quarterback never actually has him because he never delivers the ball to the guy that Tom Brady sees breaking open. It is a tale as old as time, even if we're only 6 weeks into this now. I see it happen every Sunday. He's got him, except, well, Cowboys-Lions, that's such a one-sided affair. It didn't really matter. But in every other game, there's always he's got him, and it never happens. So, not a great start for him. And I don't know
Narrator,
how long
he didn't got him.
He did not got him.
And speaking of getting the party started.
For the victory lap, though. They ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I stress overcome, what for? Train in the trees, please pardon my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands, and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Switch gears, with keeping haters in the rear. At the blood, sweat, and tears, and my goal so near. I see my victory so clear. I see my victory so clear. And today, we break through. 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 And today, we break through.
It is time for everybody's favorite podcast covering our two loves exclusively, Formula One and football. And so far, the only podcast in the world that we know that covers those two sports exclusively, that is. It's the Gridiron Podcast, episode 51. As always, I am your maitre d', your MC, your master of ceremonies, Sean Barie. And joining me, as always, up in your left-hand corner, if you're watching on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, holding down the fort in the land, Nick Shook.
And suffering through a Game 2 ALCS loss.
We're not going to talk about that right now, though. I said we cover Formula One and football.
That's it. That's all I said. I just want to get it out there. I'm ahead of it. I'm past it.
And up in the right-hand corner, our Canadian queen, Katie Caldwell. Guys, how you doing today?
You came in with so much energy, and we needed that tonight. We were all pretty low energy, and you came in so hot with that intro. I just love it.
I've been waiting for this podcast for 2 weeks. Slowly, burning, yearning for this podcast and to record it. Because did you guys record last week?
No. Out of respect for what was going on with you, we decided no.
We were deeply unsettled by what was happening in Tampa, so we were worried about you, and it just didn't feel right without you, Sean.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's nice to know that I'm the glue holding this rickety ship together. Yes, we took off last week because if you did not know, Hurricane Milton, which was close to breaking basically all meteorological records and just, reaching the limits of what is physically possible within the Earth's atmosphere in terms of storms, was barreling right towards me. And thankfully, some wind shear at the last moment basically killed Milton and turned it south a little bit. So it made landfall in Siesta Key as a Category 3 storm a week from tomorrow. We're recording this on Tuesday. And it just wasn't a fun time because anytime a storm comes through, even us as sports guys here in our local TV market, we get thrown into the news mix. So I was up at 1 a.m. 2 days in a row to cover Milton. A lot of damage, a lot of wind. Could have been a lot worse. When you look, honestly, I looked afterwards at like the infrared of like the whole storm, and it was just holy crap. It was like a buzzsaw coming for us, and then at the last second, I mean, it just died, and Princess Ulele really saved us.
Oh, and while everyone's still cleaning up after Helene, then it just felt like it came out of nowhere. Like, it's just hard to watch.
Yeah, that was the real. Yeah, that was the real kick in the nuts. It was our second hurricane in a 3-week span. So, bully for us.
Bully day, bully weeks.
It's really not fun to go through, and I say that as we were just talking before the podcast. We never lost power either for Helene or for Milton. We had a little bit of water damage because of just the sheer amount of rain from Milton, but we were way more fortunate than so many people who lost so much more than power and air conditioning and Wi-Fi for a few days. So I know the Red Cross is accepting donations. If you can, please give to the Red Cross, give to anything for Hurricane Milton and Helene relief, because I know the Carolinas got battered too pretty bad from the rain that was left behind from what became Helene, or what was left behind from Helene. So give if you can. We're going through it down here, but we're surviving. We're thriving. We're Tampa Bay. We'll be back. We'll be fine. Anyway, back to the
You're
podcast.
back,
Back to
Sean.
our regularly scheduled podcast. It's episode 51 of the Gridiron Podcast. And the
Randy
reason
Johnson episode.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's the best.
What do we
51
have in the
come up with.
docket? I didn't even look.
I don't
Normally
know if
Katie
we
puts
have-
that in there.
Oh, she has the Dick Butkus episode. That's also good.
That's also really good. Shout out Dick Butkus. It's a good week to record, though, because why, guys?
F1 is back. We're not just
F1
talking
is-
football.
Yes, F1 is back
Katie
from its
rejoices.
unofficial summer break. So we'll talk a little football. Week 6 in the books. We'll go through that, and then we'll get into the U.S. Grand Prix. America, baby. We're back in the States. All right, let's start off with football. Nick, how we doing?
Take it
man?
away. Yeah, I mean, we're
Yeah.
great.
I mean,
I don't know.
you're our resident NFL.com talent writer, as
I
he's
got
so called.
2 games left to review before I can send QB index for the week, so we're near the home stretch. Sean, honestly, a lot of people who sit and watch Red Zone on Sunday, or if you happen to be one of my coworkers who sits in the NFL Network newsroom and you have all the games up on all the screens, they'd all agree that it was kind of a lackluster Sunday. A lot of chaos in the chaos window, the witching hour of the early games. There wasn't a lot of late game excitement. There were some exciting games, but not the thrills that we got at the end of games like we did a week prior. But what we did get was the residual thrills, and that came in the form of headlines today, Tuesday, when we record, because 2 star receivers got traded. One of them going to a team featuring a quarterback that we all detest on this show, but remains in the headlines because of his reputation, which we also dislike. And the other one leaves a team that's headed nowhere for a team that's atop their division, which happens to be the same division as said quarterback that we will name. But before, let's just get right to the news. Screw it. We'll get to the games later. We'll get right to the news, because bottom line, the Jets are not in a good place right now. They're 2-4. They lost to the Bills, another winnable game that they lose on a relative national stage or larger. They lose in London the week prior to the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers throws a pick on their last, ditch effort to try to win the game. A week later, he throws a pick in their last ditch effort to try to win a game that was very ugly, a game that included 22 combined accepted penalties, 11 for both the Bills and the Jets with over 100 penalty yards. Ugly game, even though it was an entertaining game, at least in the first half. But what happens after the Jets lose and Aaron Rodgers throws a pick trying to get the ball to Mike Williams, who didn't run the route the way he wanted, and he didn't hide the fact that he didn't run the route the way he wanted in the post-game presser?
I was going to say he didn't just throw a pick. He threw Mike Williams under the bus.
Under the bus,
presser.
ran him over with it, backed it back up over him again, and then peeled out on top of him, driving away. They traded for Aaron Rodgers' buddy, Davante Adams. Yeah, I know. Great leader. Great leader. Davante Adams makes the move from Vegas, where he was miserable, to New York, where Aaron Rodgers is kind of miserable, but they're back together again. And the trade happened so quickly that somehow Davante found his way to Aaron's home on Tuesday in time to make a cameo appearance on Pat McAfee. What the hell, guys?
What a coinky-dink, Nick.
Gee, maybe this was in the works prior to Tuesday. Oh, I don't know. Maybe he just hopped a flight and happened to go straight to Aaron's pad. I don't know, nor do I care, but it's major headline news. Davante has wanted a trade out of Las Vegas for a couple of weeks. He gets his wish, and he goes exactly where he wanted, playing with his old pal Aaron Rodgers. And suddenly the 2-4 Jets, everything's right in front of them again, guys.
Oh man, Super Bowl contenders again, right, guys? Like automatically from 2-4 and firing your head coach. Which, first of all, real quick, can I just go back to last week in the firing of Robert Saleh? Because if his leash was so short that 2-3 was the breaking point, 2-3 is where the camel's back officially broke, when that last piece of straw was placed on that said camel's back. Why the hell did you bring him back in the first place? It makes no sense. It makes no earthly sense. That's neither here nor there, because that's old news at this point. You also demote Nathaniel Hackett and you take away offensive play calling duties away from your offensive coordinator, which and now, yes, you get Davante Adams. You get Davante Adams in New York. Here's my 2 cents on it. Davante Adams does make the Jets a better team. Sure, of course, he makes any team he's on a better team. Does he fix the fact that Aaron Rodgers is on the wrong side of 40? No. Does he fix that porous offensive line? No. Does Davante Adams fix the fact that the Jets defense cannot stop the run? No. Does he help the fact that their best defensive mind and coach is no longer on the team? No. What does it fix? What does it fix?
It fixes Aaron Rodgers' frustration with the receivers that play with him. He's got a supposedly good relationship with Garrett Wilson. He's got a solid relationship with Alan Lazard, and he hates Mike Williams. So replace Mike Williams with Davante Adams, and suddenly you got 3 guys that you have a rapport with, and supposedly that's just supposed to open up the offense. I will say this: their offense did look better in that Monday night loss to the Bills, but they're not close to where they need to be. It's not a Band-Aid that's going to fix it. It's not just a fix-all. It is a Band-Aid, if anything. You made a ton of points that are absolutely correct there. But again, having Aaron Rodgers on your team is like having LeBron on your team. Your title window is right in front of your face, and the pressure is on because that window, as soon as they arrive, starts slowly closing, and it's closing even faster for the Jets because Aaron Rodgers is 40. You got to win now. So you do whatever you can to win now. But all the things you just recapped and the order in which they happened, that demonstrates a team that's poorly run from the top down. This is a team that traded for Hassan Reddick with the expectation that suddenly he wouldn't want to get paid over multiple years. And then we're shocked when he didn't show up and report to camp and still isn't with the team, and they lack a pass rush because of it. They don't run well. So this is the best they can do, which then means that we all just get to feed them to Katie for her to tear them down bit by bit.
Just hold on a second. Go ahead, Katie. Gonna sit back.
I think their Super Bowl window is closed because I'm just such an Aaron Rodgers hater, and I think he's washed already. Like, when I look at this move, I think there's a lot of discourse of like, oh yeah, this is the missing piece. This is what he wanted, and blah, blah. And people are also still sitting there looking me in the metaphorical eye, trying to convince me that Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with the firing of Robert Saleh. Okay. This man, for some reason, runs this entire franchise. And you see flashes of it. You see the Hail Mary and everybody freaks out and Rodgers is back and blah, blah, blah. He's still got a piss poor attitude. He's still throwing his guys under the bus. He's rolling his eyes. The week before, he's on the ground looking like a dog on 4 legs. Like, it's just the vibes around him don't feel better. He's still going on shows and saying the most unhinged shit. And like, I don't know. I just feel like so many people are so tired of him, and he just keeps getting whatever he wants in this franchise. And I'm curious to see how it all shakes out. Like, would it be fun if the Jets are fun to watch? Yes, but I don't think it's there anymore with Rodgers enough that the team is so complete. Like, if we're talking about the Denver Broncos where Brock Osweiler / Peyton Manning win the Super Bowl, fine. Aaron Rodgers in that situation, more than enough. I just don't think it's enough with his age, with the way that things are trending. Doesn't look super healthy. People are freaking out about this, and I'm selfishly sad because I wanted to see Davante go somewhere that, like I said, Washington would be so fun because they do feel like a pretty complete team with a high ceiling. And so much of my Aaron Rodgers hatred comes out in these situations, but I think everybody just needs to cool their jets a bit. Like, it feels like everybody is.
Oh, nice.
And pun unintended, but it feels like everybody's expecting like, oh yeah, straight to the Super Bowl. Like, no, and Davante Adams is getting up there too. He's still a very good receiver, but what is he now? 31?
I feel like Aaron Rodgers has now officially, like, by the way, Jets fans in New York, they're getting what they asked for. They wanted the Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, they sold their soul to the devil.
You're getting the Aaron Rodgers experience. And now I can only liken this 40-year-old conspiracy theorist quarterback to, you guys remember Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah.
Golden ticket, baby.
You guys remember Veruca Salt? What did she want? She wanted it now. She wanted balls, she wanted parties, and performing baboons, and she wanted it now. Aaron Rodgers is getting it now. He literally has everything he wants. He had Romeo Doubs. He has Alan Lazard. He has Davante Adams. The gang's back together. Wilson. He's got Nathaniel Hackett. Robert Saleh's gone. There is nothing. There is no excuse left on this earth as to why the Jets shouldn't be winning now. But I'll bet you they're going to find one within a week's
Yeah,
time.
I agree,
they
Sean.
will. They
I mean,
will.
God forbid they go into Pittsburgh this week and they lose on Sunday Night Football. What's the excuse going to be then? Oh, Devontae's still banged up, and Mike Williams didn't run the same route. Like, just they're going to find excuses, but there's none left to be had.
Yeah. By the way, the Denver comparison is great, except that Denver had a great defense and these Jets do not.
Well, that's what I
And
mean
that's
is
the-
that
yeah.
that was why I comped them is because or saying that it's not that situation because that defense did win that, but the Jets aren't there. They're not
No.
complete enough on offense or especially on defense where you can just plunk in an old guy and everything's fine.
Yeah. He, by the way, he's 31. He turns 32 in December. Christmas Eve is his birthday. So
Hmm.
mark that on your calendars, folks.
Let's not. All right. Pump
Yeah.
the brakes on the old talk.
Yeah, I mean that's we're all older than Davante Adams right now. Anyway, but we don't play professional football, so it doesn't matter nearly as much. The thing that bothers me the most about it, and this is just like my general disdain for social media and the way it runs our thought processes, multiple processes. Like everything is made out for a freaking graphic for social media. Like, oh, who's going to stop this trio? And it's like somebody in a Jets uniform and Aaron Rodgers in a Jets uniform. And then Davante photoshopped into a Jets uniform. And it's like, watch this takeoff online. Yeah. It's like Colorado football and college football. It's the same way. Like, who's going to stop this team from making the playoff? It's like they are because they aren't that good.
And also the Bills defense and the Ravens defense and the Lions defense. And
yeah. And so it just drives me nuts. That's the way it drives so much of our thought is that like instant reaction based on a freaking infographic. I hate that about social media more than anything in sports culture in general, but we'll hear about it. We'll hear about it until
we'll talk about it
until they suffer like a 2019 Browns meltdown where they're just not a good football team. They're poorly organized and everything, which by the way, they kind of already are like that. Like, I don't know, the 13 penalties accepted against them in the loss to the Broncos or the 11 penalties accepted against them last night. That's marks of a bad football team. And a receiver is not just going to save you from all of that. So buckle up, friends. Let's sit back and enjoy the show because I'm sure they'll throw touchdown passes to each other and everything else will be dandy and they'll still lose a bunch of football games.
Teams that have started a season 2-4 historically have made the playoffs 11% of the time. So I'm saying there's still a chance, but I wonder what the percentage is of teams that start 2-4 and have also fired their head coach. I'm going to guess it's even lower. Meanwhile, just an hour and a half after the Davante Adams news breaks, you get another trade for a star wide receiver in Amari Cooper. So now the Browns are going full fire sale. They trade Amari Cooper to the other team in that Monday night game, the Bills, who could use a wide receiver, and they go get Amari Cooper. This one kind of caught me by surprise. The Davante Adams, I kind of already assumed he was on the Jets, honestly. Like,
all right.
I really did.
Yeah, I'll break it down for you. From the Bills' perspective, look, they missed Stephon Diggs. They missed Gabe Davis. Khalil Shakir is their most trusted option in the passing game right now, and he was a non-factor in the game last night. He was injured in a couple weeks before that. I mean, they're relying on Keon Coleman and Curtis Samuel, Curtis Samuel used to play running back in college. Like he didn't become a receiver until the tail end of college going into the pros. He's an explosive guy, but he's not a polished receiver. They have two really good tight ends and they find ways to score with them like they did, on the touchdown pass to Dawson Knox. Great throw by Josh Allen rolling out to the left in that Monday night game. But it's just not a complete picture. There's not a rapport with these guys. A lot of new faces in that receiving core. So they go get Amari Cooper, a veteran who usually meshes well with a quarterback he's not familiar with, a la Joe Flacco last year. Josh Allen and him will probably get off on a pretty decent start. They needed another option in that core, plain and simple. So they go get Amari Cooper. They send a third. They get a seventh back. It's a smart move. It's a rental. He's on the last year of his deal. They pay for less than $1 million of his salary because the Browns converted most of his salary into a signing bonus to make him happy and get him to come to camp. Great move on their part, but the Browns are not quite in fire sale mode. I know that's what it seems like from, on the surface, but Amari Cooper was on an expiring deal, clearly miserable with a team that is going nowhere, playing with a quarterback he has no rapport with and who is awful, and playing in an offense that doesn't benefit anybody who's running routes for that quarterback because the quarterback sucks. They also don't run the ball well either. They're one-dimensional and they're bad at passing. So from the Browns' perspective, they traded a fifth for Amari Cooper. from the Cowboys. They got a few 1,000-yard receiving seasons out of him. He was a great player for them. And they get a third back. Good business decision. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to re-sign him. Get something for him while you still can. I think it's a great trade on both sides, but I don't quite think it's a signaling of a fire sale for the Browns because, I mean, they're a bad football team, but the guy they really need to sell off, they can't. So they're stuck in where they are right now.
Which is why I'm not as convinced as you are that this isn't the beginning of a fire sale. Like, for Amari Cooper, I'm thrilled for him that he has a real NFL quarterback now. I love that for the Bills. I love that for him.
Yep.
And last year, he had a career high 1,250 receiving yards with basically a carousel at quarterback. If I'm a Browns fan, I'm kind of pissed because it just feels like Deshaun Watson is just this dark cloud over everything where it feels like that still has so much to do with it. Like, if I'm a Browns fan, I'm looking at this situation as, okay, this person not only is the worst quarterback in the league, but the worst vibes around him, but he cost 6 picks, $236 million, and Amari Cooper. Portion of the fan base, that's another one. But like, if I've got to think that, like, if I'm a Browns fan, I worry that this is the beginning of the vibes there are so bad, and he's so locked in with that contract, and they're just not benching him. And every single week it gets more embarrassing because so many people are calling for it, and Stefanski's being asked, and who knows what's happening behind the scenes with that. But it feels like he's not going to be benched. And if I'm a player, I do want out of this situation. We've seen more than enough of Deshaun that the vibes there are so incredibly bad that I'm not certain that it's not the beginning of a fire sale. Wouldn't you guys want out? Like, what's giving you hope about the Browns right now that you'd want to stick around?
No, they're a team out of nowhere, and I don't think Deshaun Watson gets benched until Kevin Stefanski feels his job is threatened, and at that point, he does it out of self-preservation. They're not going anywhere. They're a bad football team, starting with their quarterback. They could actually have won a couple of their last few games if they didn't have Deshaun Watson at quarterback, but they've lost those games. They are going nowhere. It is going to be a very dark winter for fans of the Cleveland Browns. And they're stuck because of the commitment they made to him. It's a bad situation that's only going to get uglier and uglier, and it's like a car crash. We're all just going to gather and watch it happen. But I just don't necessarily know if that's going to be quite the fire sale that we expect. They're going to have to move.
Like, why would you want to stay though?
Because you're getting paid a lot of money.
Here's the other thing too. What other pieces do you have to sell off aside
That's the
from
problem.
Nick Chubb and like Myles Garrett? You're not getting rid of Myles Garrett.
Nick Chubb is on an expiring contract as well. They probably might not bring him back either, and I wouldn't blame him if he didn't want to be back. Myles Garrett's not going anywhere. They won't let that happen. What else are you going to sell off?
Right.
Like, they're stuck. I mean, so don't expect a complete
Newsome, Ward. Like, you got some pieces.
Newsome's on an expiring deal too.
there's not much there too. So I understand where you're coming from, both of you, because like I think this is a little bit of a waving of the white flag because they know they're not going anywhere. There is no hope for this season because of that anchor that is Deshaun Watson just dragging them to the depths of Lake Erie. But yeah, there's not much to be sold off anyway. You're right. It's gonna be rough, and it's kind of sad to see because it was fun to see the Browns, successful last year under Joe Flacco, but that was short lived.
Well, Sean, everything in life, everything good in life and bad, never lasts forever. It doesn't last forever, and good things in life are often fleeting. So enjoy your team's ability to stay above 500 year after year, because a lot of places don't experience that.
I know. It kind of makes me, like, honestly, this season as a Steelers fan, it does make me appreciate it a little bit more because, I mean, I know the Steelers aren't going anywhere. I mean, what's their ceiling? The divisional round? Maybe with some of Tinkerbell's magic dust, they make it to the conference championship game. That's very, very unlikely. But it makes me appreciate that they're not boring and they're not bad. Like, yeah, I'm enjoying my time watching the Steelers, if anything else, because I can kind of look at it from a different perspective. Speaking of the Steelers, I guess we got to talk about it.
Yeah,
because I'm at work today, right? Minding my own business, doom scrolling through Twitter, and all of a sudden, what should I read? But Russell Wilson might start this week. What are we doing here? Why? Like, granted, Justin Fields hasn't given you everything you would have hoped for, I guess, from someone that you want to be your future answer at quarterback, but he's done enough to get this team to 4-2, and it was a goal line stand away from being 5-1. You could make an argument that they could be 6-0. a flimsy argument, but an argument could be made. Now, hey, Russell Wilson's healthy, and he's going to get first-team reps this week, and we might start him. I mean, okay. Here's the thing. You did bring Russell Wilson in for a job, and either you owe it to him or you owe it to the team to see if he's capable of doing that job better than Justin Fields. It's just kind of a shit situation for Justin Fields that he has done what you have asked him to. Sometimes, at times, better than other times. Like let's be fair. Like Justin Fields hasn't been perfect and immaculate. There's still some things to be wanted there. But yeah, to just come out and be like, yeah, we're thinking about starting Russ. Like it's just a bombshell. Like, yeah, we're thinking about starting Russ. Why?
Well, the thing about Fields is like he played well enough that it felt pretty much like a slam dunk that they didn't have a reason to play Russ and that they should just ride the hot hand. But the way Tomlin explained it to me,
is it hot?
It's hot enough. I mean, they're 4-2.
That's what I think too, Sean.
He had a couple of rushing touchdowns. That's the thing is the way Tomlin explained it, in my opinion, kind of is revealing. He said, he basically said we've been good enough, but like in this league, good enough is not good enough. Like
right.
You have to be great, and we would like to see if that's possible with this offense. Basically, he's saying, can Russell Wilson actually help us move the football more effectively than we have with Justin Fields? We need to find out. So they're going to use however many weeks to figure that out. But you're also exposed. Luckily, you're 4-2, so like you're in a spot where you could do that. But you're also exposing yourself to being 4-4 real quick if it goes haywire. The good thing is that you have that option of Fields there. But God, for a guy who's been knocked around plenty in his NFL career and had plenty of reason to doubt himself, this is not exactly what you want to do when he's having a nice little run. And I mean, they had they scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter of that Raiders game, which they ran away with that victory. And like him and whoever he threw it to were celebrating. Like they got Fields into the celebration, the camera, and you could just see like on his face, he's having fun playing football again. And then suddenly you take it away from him for Russell freaking Wilson. Kind of feels like an overstep, over managing, to use a baseball term.
I guess I just don't understand what the big upgrade is that Russ can give you in 2024 that Justin Fields doesn't have. Like if they had a super strong offensive line and receivers that could get a ton of separation, like maybe there are areas where Russ could shine, but that's not really their situation. Like there's a play that really stood out to me in the first quarter of this game where I have no idea where the right tackle was, but I'm guessing it was Max Crosby coming through. And like the way that Justin Fields was able to scramble, and I think he even got the first down, like there is no way that Russ has that in him anymore. Do you know the play I'm talking about?
It was 3rd and 7. It was Max Crosby versus Broderick Jones, who did his best impersonation of a turnstile at that moment, which he's done a couple times this year. And 7 yards deep. So at that point, 3rd and 14, he rushes for 13 yards and gets the first down. So
but Russ isn't doing
not going to do that. And so I agree with you. That's what on one side, I get it. We do owe it to see as a team to see if this offense can be better under Russell Wilson, because at times, mostly in the first half, the Steelers just have gotten off to such slow starts, and that's just not, conducive to a good season. Here's the thing. They're 4-2, right? And they've got another 11 games, another 10 games, another 11 games. This is a tough schedule. I don't know if there's 6 or 7 wins left on this schedule. You got to get them while you can. So you need to put your team in the best situation. So I understand where Mike Tomlin is coming from that perspective. Because, at times, Justin Fields hasn't been great. But what he has been good at is extending those drives and saving his lackluster offensive line with his legs. Russell Wilson can't do that. That's my biggest worry is you're right. Steelers receivers right now, they're having trouble getting separation, and the offensive line is having trouble keeping guys out of the backfield. If those are your 2 biggest weaknesses, that really doesn't lean towards a good Russell Wilson, performance.
No.
Maybe Mike Tomlin is even playing chess right now and going, all right, we're going to put Russell in, and we're going to show people that this ain't the answer, and we'll just keep rolling with Fields. Regardless, I feel confident enough with Justin Fields back there if he winds up being QB1 at whatever point this season, that this team can still, go to the playoffs and be productive. It's just, I don't know what Mike. I don't know the game Mike Tomlin is playing right now. I think only he does. And boy, I hope he's not betting the farm on black and it comes up bust. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and he was even asked after that game, do you think that Russell Wilson has the ability to escape the rush the way Justin Fields did against the Raiders? He didn't mess around. He straight up just said, no, he does not, period. It's like, okay, so this is the time then? After we make that observation with no gray area, this is the time? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, grass is always greener. Curiosity killed the cat. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it won't last long. Who knows? Something that will last long, at least when it comes to investments. And I hope one of you has this prepared, the graphic that you shared earlier. Tom Brady is officially a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders.
I'll read it.
Read it, Katie. His restrictions include.
As a Fox NFL broadcaster.
So, Brady's restrictions: not permitted to be in another team's facility, not permitted to witness practice, not permitted to attend broadcast production meetings either in person or virtually, prohibited from publicly criticizing game officials and other clubs, subject to the NFL's gambling policy, and then subject to the NFL's anti-tampering policy. He can't talk shit about teams, players, refs, and he can't sit in a production meeting. Justice for Greg Olsen.
He's kind of been already operating under these rules. Like, he hasn't been in production meetings so far.
Because I think they saw this coming. I think this was a pretty done deal.
But the difference to me was not being able to criticize other clubs. And this also explains why when a team's getting blown out, like the Browns were against the Cowboys in week 1, he went with like come on, guys, rile yourselves up, keep on fighting. You just got to put a few drives together instead of saying like they're bad. So it's like, what can you be as a broadcaster if you can't say this team is shit? Like, I don't know what you can do.
Whereas I love that about Al Michaels. As he's aged, he's given so many less shits about. He'll just be like, "This is the worst game I've ever seen. These are two of the worst teams I've ever seen play." And I love that, and I think that's really refreshing. And Tom Brady is the polar opposite.
Has turned into the grumpy old man. Speaking as someone that is also, like Tom Brady, contractually obligated by Fox News Corp, and contractually obligated to not talk ill of any other contractually obligated Fox News employees. So I cannot talk ill of Tom Brady. My question would be, did my company know that like this was going to be a thing when they signed him to, what was it, $375 million? It's like, does the $375 million price tag and having him on the number one broadcast outweigh all of this restriction that he must now follow as a 5% owner of the Las Vegas Raiders? And if you're Tom Brady, does that 5% ownership of the Raiders outweigh the $375 million guaranteed dollar contract that you got from Fox? Like, it's just
like,
you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. Like, chill, man. Like, just do one
Napoleon,
thing.
You don't need the world. All right, you've captured enough. You've won enough wars. Okay, stop. You have enough. I know you lost out on crypto. A lot of people did. Not your fault entirely, even though the ads were not the best. You don't need to own or have a hand in everything just because you're done playing football. And this has been approved, so he's in there. That money's going over to Mark Davis. He's buying a portion of the team. Lock, stock, and barrel, baby, which makes me think that broadcasting career might not last for much longer.
I'm kind of wondering the same thing, which as a viewer, I'm very okay with that. That works great for me.
Sean can't speak on this, so I'll fill the airtime. I agree.
But I can speak for us.
I can too. Sean, just stay quiet, I do on gambling topics.
I can speak to the level of like, yeah, he's gotten off to a rocky start. No, everyone agrees on that. But
don't sugarcoat it. The best part of Tom Brady.
Come on, guys. We just need to put a couple of drives together, a couple of good broadcasts together, Tom.
The best part of Tom Brady broadcasts aren't when he actually tries to make a point. It's when he goes, no, or he'll see a play develop and he'll just go, he's got him. And the quarterback never actually has him because he never delivers the ball to the guy that Tom Brady sees breaking open. It is a tale as old as time, even if we're only 6 weeks into this now. I see it happen every Sunday. He's got him, except, Cowboys, Lions. It's such a one-sided affair. It didn't really matter. But in every other game, there's always he's got him, and it never happens. So, yeah, not a great start for him. And I don't know how long it's
Narrator,
gonna last.
he didn't got him.
He did not got him.
Okay, Sean, we can pull you out of this misery and move on now.
I was going to say, let's get out of the NFL and let's move over and let's shift gears to F1 because F1's finally back. The other half of our podcast, finally back. What was it, a 4-week break? It feels like forever ago, honestly.
It was the equivalent of a summer break, except they could work on the cars, which makes this weekend interesting.
What even happened before we left? I don't know. Or is the world still the same?
I don't know.
Is Max Verstappen still at Red Bull? I have no idea. He is, and we're headed to Austin this week for the U.S. Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas. I almost forgot for a second. I almost said Silverstone. I'm like, wait, no, that's not right. That's England. Circuit of the Americas. COTA. We're going to COTA. We're not going to COTA. I wish we were. But yeah, F1 is back, and now we have the dash to Abu Dhabi because the next 7 races. Someone correct me on that?
Well, I mean, you're always one race off, but I don't have the schedule up in front of me, so I'm going to vamp until I find the schedule. Yeah, it's not what I clicked on. Let's see. United States. This didn't line up like I thought it would.
Oh,
there we
will
go.
Be in
1,
Austin,
2, 3,
Sean,
4.
just 4 days after the race, which really sucks.
6 races, Sean. We have
All
6
right,
races.
6 races.
Left.
You're right. I was 1 race off. We've got 6 races left. We've got a title race, both for the constructors and the drivers' championship. Max Verstappen ahead of Lando Norris by about 39 points, I think, at this point. Mathematically, here's where we are. Lando Norris can win every single race, get the fastest lap at every single race. And as long as Max Verstappen finishes second right behind him, he will win the world championship by 1 point.
You're right. Sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off, but it's 52 points. 331 to 279.
It's 52 still?
Yeah, according to the driver standings on F1.com,
I thought we were
331 to 279.
I thought we were down to like 39 points. That sounds better.
34 points between Norris and Leclerc.
Yeah. Okay. My point still stands. Lando Norris can win every single race, get the fastest lap, extra point every single race, and as long as Max finishes second, he will win the Drivers' Championship by 1 point. Kind of takes a little bit of the excitement out of it, but at the same time, that Red Bull has not been a car that has been able to finish second at a lot of these tracks. So I guess the intrigue is Lando needs to string together some wins. I think it's far-fetched to say that he's going to win 6 straight wins. Damn near impossible to say that. But with McLaren putting their full weight behind Lando now, things are going to get interesting. And I think it's going to be a lot closer when we get to Abu Dhabi. And I think Lando will still be within striking distance when we get to Abu Dhabi. Might not be, feasible, but it will be mathematically possible. And it all starts this weekend in Austin.
What a fun season. I'm so disappointed there was just a second summer break because it feels like there's just been so much fun momentum in F1. And another break just feels like, come on, what are we doing here?
Well, it's also like a super long season now with an incredible amount of travel. So I can understand why they built in another break. I mean, it's legitimately a 9-month season now, like the most races ever. Yeah. People need some time to rest and relax and go screw around and somewhere in England or, Perth, Australia. I don't know. Yeah. That go take in a show or be strolling on the beach with your puppy. I don't know. They need a break is what I'm saying.
I think I'd rather just do the 1 week off and that like the multiple weeks again just feels a bit.
Katie's the type, I think Katie is the type that's like, all right, look, and this used to happen in conditioning in football. Look, guys, we got 10 100s and a mile. Now, you can take a break here and run 15 100s and a mile, or you can just get it done right now with no break, and everyone will be like, screw it, just do it now. And that'd be Katie, front of the pack. Screw it, I'm already dying. I might as well just bring death quicker, please.
You do know me very well. That does sound like me.
I do.
That being said, when we get to Austin this week, McLaren going to be very fast. But they're also going to look very fast as well.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, the king of the liveries strikes again. Is there a team that is more undefeated at the special liveries than McLaren? I don't think there is because they have just given us everything we've wanted and more. And Chrome is officially back on the McLaren. If you didn't know, back in the 90s, they called it Chrome. I guess it technically was Chrome, and they won 2 world titles with Mika Hakkinen. Well, now they've got Chrome on the car once again for this week in Austin because, well, Google Chrome is one of their main sponsors. And that car, I mean, just looks sexy.
Yeah.
If you're paying attention on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube. Last year they did a Chrome livery too for I believe it was Silverstone, and
Yeah.
it was too bright, like it was too shiny of Chrome. It seems like they dulled the Chrome a little bit, and it just looks great. I'll be interested to see it in the Texas sunshine, but it should be fun. It looks great. Oh, that's a good looking car.
That's gonna look so good. Losing the lead on lap 1.
That's Katie. We were doing so
Lap
well
1,
this
turn
podcast,
1, baby.
Katie. You were doing so well. You can't even use that narrative anymore. You can't even
Why?
use that
You didn't
narrative
do it
anymore.
once? You
Why?
can use
Because
it
he
until he doesn't do
finally-
it like 5 times.
Yeah, because Lando
Went
finally
1
did
for
it in
7.
Singapore. Yeah, finally did it in Singapore. It only
Congrats.
took 17 races.
I said this before Monaco. We just need to stack success, not just these little short bursts. Stack wins, stack success. I feel like Tom Brady, winning mindset. No, but
Keep fighting.
I'm still in the same position that we're seeing it, but I just need to see more. I need to see the continued success of Lando and McLaren. Oscar, I'm not worried about. Oscar can
Helmut
do no
Marko.
wrong to me.
Helmut Marko came out this week and said that Lando Norris has a mental weakness that will prevent him from winning the world championship. Does that change your mind at all, Katie, and who you want to root for and who you're backing?
That makes me feel sick. I never thought I'd be on the same side as Helmut Marko with anything.
Oh, no. He's put us in an unwinnable position where now we have to say he can do it just so he can disagree with Helmut Marko.
Yep.
The most unlikable
Your
guy in
choices
F1.
are either agreeing with the Bond villain that is Helmut Marko or rooting for Lando Norris and McLaren. Choice is yours.
Option C,
Jump off a
which
bridge.
is which is goodbye, friends.
Oscar Piastri wins every race and then somehow also wins the Drivers' Championship. Wouldn't that be great? Just Oscar rallies off 6 straight wins and Max like DNFs like 2 or 3 times, and then Oscar just surges ahead to win the World Drivers' Championship. McLaren's not going to let him do it, but man, that would be fun.
Think about the meetings.
Think about the meetings, Lando. It takes a team to taking that one away from him really kind of looms large right now, doesn't it?
Sure does, but it did in the moment. Like
We
said
knew.
after that race happened, what are we doing here?
What
And
are
the
we doing?
The only team that wasn't like, what are we doing? Was the team that decided to put one driver over the other.
And they were
One of
like,
those
what are
drivers.
you doing, Lando?
Yeah.
Not
What are you
us.
doing?
What are you doing?
It takes a team, guys. It takes a team, both for a podcast and to win a championship. Remember all those meetings, all those pre-show meetings?
No, we never do
of
that.
the team, guys. Think
Won't
of
someone
the team.
think of the Sunday afternoon lunch meetings?
All right, we're heading to
Think of the
Austin.
Chrome livery.
Think of the Chrome livery. We're heading to Austin. Let's do predictions.
Katie, chivalry is not dead.
Okay, P3, Lando Norris. He's on the podium. Am I rolling through all 3 of them?
Yeah.
go for all 3.
Okay, P2, Oscar, my sweet
Ooh.
Australian prince. And then P1, I think we're hearing the Dutch national anthem this weekend. It's been a minute. I think Max is going to be good on this track. He's had a bit of rest. I think we're going to see Max win. And I just hate what's happening to me as a person because I feel weirdly excited about that as I become more and more of a Max fan. And it's very internally confusing. But he's just gotten so much lovelier. And I find myself cheering for him more. I don't know. I'm still
Okay,
Team
there's so
Lewis,
much-
but
Can I call you
Sean,
Kate?
it's complicated.
The seat is so warm
call
for
you
you
Kate?
right now. Just come sit right here. There's the warm embrace right here. Come on in.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
You knew that when we hit record, my friend.
Fair point.
I think you can call her Kate, though. I think she's made that clear before. So go ahead, Sean.
All right, I'll take P3 Oscar Piastri, P2 Lando Norris, and I agree with Katie. P1 Max Verstappen.
wow.
He's been so good at this track before, and I just feel like it's one of those tracks where he just excels. I don't know if it's the S's. I don't know if it's I don't know what it is, but Max Verstappen loves Austin. Austin loves him. I think he's going to win, unfortunately.
This
I
puts
hope
me
I'm wrong.
This puts me in a rough place because I wasn't going to pick Max.
Then don't.
I've been having this discussion with a buddy at the gym who is a diehard F1 fan, diehard Mercedes fan. I really want to put Lewis on this podium, but I really don't trust Mercedes to give him the setup and strategy he needs to win this race.
It's that time of the year, guys.
They
It's
just
that time of
don't.
the season.
They don't give a shit about him anymore. He's leaving.
He is officially on the outside looking in. His key card sometimes doesn't get him into the Mercedes offices at Enstone anymore. He's going to Ferrari next year. He does not have the same equipment George has. I think we can throw him out the window for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and it makes me so sad. And I don't want to sound like I have the same podium as you, so I'm going in a different direction.
Okay.
Lando Norris, P1. Charles Leclerc, P2.
Okay.
Max Verstappen, P3. Off the wall. No backing. I think I'm going to be wrong, but I want to be different. And sometimes different is the right move, damn it.
Last lap, Oscar Piastri just taking out Max.
Sure. I like chaos.
Love
I
it.
like drama. That'd be a good episode of Drive to
That's what the
Survive.
sport is good for.
I feel like George hasn't had a last lap crash in a while. I feel like that could be on deck.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good point. We haven't had one from him in a while, or a safety car
Good.
crash. In a
Yeah,
while.
true. But especially
know.
if they're going to be favoring George moving forward, which obviously it makes sense. Lewis is leaving, but
He's gonna.
George,
he's
when
gonna
he's under pressure, sometimes that's when he will fire it into the wall, off the
I was
gravel.
going to say he's going to bundle it here at some point. Hopefully, it's not last lap in Abu Dhabi while Lando Norris is leading it on old tires, thus giving Max the chance to come in for new tires. And you never know; it could happen.
We went motor racing.
It's called a moto race. Anything else? Any notes on the Austin Grand
Let's
Prix?
run through some chat contributions. We had a lot of stuff about football. Big B said, "Do you even know?" Surprisingly, Troy Meeker did not stop by today to complain about "Do you even know?" not being a part of the show. Troy, we hear you. Thank you for being a loyal listener, even though you're not here live. Totally fine. We have taken your request into consideration. The cooks are in the kitchen, but the meal is not ready. That's all I'll say about that. Shout out to Lemon Bendy for resubbing on the Twitch side 3 months in a row. You're a hero. And Lemon Bendy also dropped in to say some things about Tom Brady, including he lost money in crypto and divorced and stopped making NFL money all within a short span. Any financial advisor had to have told him to take that money, which you're right. But what it screams to me is midlife crisis.
Crisis.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Also, wouldn't Giselle have to pay him because she has way more money than him?
Does she have $375 million?
She has more than
I'm
that.
guessing so.
She is
Really?
worth way more. She's worth like double what
Yeah.
Tom Brady's worth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for her.
She's got to
All
pay
right.
him
Yeah,
alimony. I mean, probably not. They probably had worked it out, legalese and whatnot. But I'm just saying, I don't think either of them is hurting for money.
No, that is what I call a power couple.
Well, not anymore. Famously, not anymore.
I have nothing further to add.
Any other? I am
Spinning off the
excited to
rails there.
see Liam Lawson drive. I know it sucks that it's at the
Yeah.
expense of Daniel, but I think they're not mutually exclusive. Like, I'm excited to. I'm grieving Daniel, but I'm excited to see Liam Lawson and Franco Colapinto. He is a fun driver to watch, and he brings a really
Yes.
fun vibe. It's fun seeing new faces at the track now. I think it's gonna be so fun the rest of the season.
I feel like I said this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Daniel Ricciardo getting fired at RB and Liam Lawson getting put in that seat. It got to the point where what is Daniel doing in this sport anymore? He's racing for a junior team, a seat that should go to a guy that has a future in the sport, not a past. So while it does suck that, the guy that all three of us owe some degree of thank you to introducing us and getting us into this sport, through his character, through his, time on Drive to Survive, it is exciting to see a guy like Liam Lawson and Franco Colapinto. You're right. Just kind of see what they can do.
Yay, verily. All right, Sean, get us out of here.
All right,
done
cool. In a cool 50 minutes, this has been episode 51 of the Gridiron Podcast. We'll be back next week recapping the week 7 of the NFL and the U.S. Grand Prix. The Dash to Abu Dhabi is on. And for Nick Shook and Katie Caldwell, I am Sean Barie. And as always, screw you, Milton and Helene, and live life in the fast lane.
Down with hurricanes. Good night,
Happy
Reagan.
Thanksgiving, Canada.
Oh, yeah, that too. Weirdos with your weird early Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving in Canada?
Yes. That's why you didn't wish me a happy Thanksgiving. I knew it had to be something.
Good night, Canada.